Hi there. My name is Amy, and I'm a 37-year-old woman. The past few months have been quite a journey for me, a time of relearning and adapting to new circumstances. This chapter of my life began with a series of challenges brought on by my husband Daniel. However, I was fortunate to have someone incredibly kind step in to ease my burdens, a true guardian angel in my time of need. But before I dive deeper into these events, let me introduce you to the key people in my story. First up is my sister, Hannah, who is 5 years younger than me. Hannah is undeniably beautiful, and growing up, our relationship was rocky. I was the quintessential nerd, while she was the life of every party, which somehow led to constant friction between us. She seemed to have a knack for getting under my skin, possibly out of jealousy. Our sibling rivalry persisted despite our mom's best efforts to smooth things over. However, once I left for college, and as we both matured, we started to find common ground. Our relationship improved slightly, and while we were never incredibly close, we reached a peaceful coexistence that I was content with. Then, there's Daniel, my ex-husband. Our paths crossed at work, and we hit it off almost immediately. After dating for 2 years, we decided to tie the knot. Together, we worked tirelessly and managed to buy our first home. Although I was the main breadwinner, making the mortgage and deed fall under my name, it felt like a joint victory. A couple of years into our marriage, Daniel broached the topic of starting a family. He painted a picture of a cozy, happy life with children, despite knowing my reservations. His persistence paid off, and eventually, I agreed to the idea. We were blessed with a son first, and a daughter followed 2 years later. Initially, Daniel was an active and involved father, but as time went by, his enthusiasm dwindled. Before I knew it, the responsibility of managing our home and caring for our children fell squarely on my shoulders. Daniel's promise of support seemed to fade away, leaving me to juggle our family's needs alone. I chose to leave my job when Daniel got a significant promotion, which meant his salary surpassed mine. It was a tough decision, and though I resisted the idea for quite some time, I eventually accepted it, deciding it wasn't worth fighting over. I discovered a passion for hosting dinner parties to fill the void and keep boredom at bay. My guests often included my mom and sister, who lived nearby, and my mother-in-law, Alexis, whenever she visited. Gradually, I found joy in this new chapter of my life, cherishing the extra time with my family and feeling content with how things were between Daniel and me. However, our relationship had its strains, particularly after a traumatic experience with the birth of our second child, which nearly cost me my life. This ordeal put a strain on us, but I hadn't realized the full extent of our issues until one day while cleaning, I stumbled upon an unfamiliar pair of panties. The discovery left me heartbroken and plagued with doubts about my adequacy as a partner. Despite it being over a year since the birth and the ongoing therapy to overcome its aftermath, finding those panties made it clear that my efforts and struggles were invisible to Daniel. Betrayal and anger quickly replaced my initial shock. I was determined to uncover the truth behind Daniel's infidelity. My first step was to confront him with a picture of the underwear, seeking answers. Then, I sifted through his laptop and social media, only to find nothing suspicious at first, which only deepened my confusion. Driven by desperation, I meticulously combed through every message, despite believing it was futile since I knew all his contacts. The thought that someone close to me could betray me seemed far-fetched until I noticed my sister's name frequently popping up. Initially, I brushed it off, unable to imagine her involvement in any wrongdoing. However, delving into their conversation shattered my world. The chats were filled with intimate photos, loving exchanges, and plans for Daniel to leave me. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me reeling from the sheer magnitude of their betrayal. Finding out about my sister's involvement in such a shocking betrayal was a pill too bitter to swallow. Despite our rocky past, I couldn't have imagined her crossing such a line. My initial reaction was visceral. I was so revolted by the revelation that I physically got sick. When attempts to reach Daniel yielded no answer, I turned to my sister Hannah, hoping for some explanation. The conversation with Hannah was surreal. Her nonchalant response and justification for her actions with Daniel were beyond my comprehension. She claimed to be doing me a favor, relieving me of Daniel's attention so I could focus more on our children. The absurdity of her reasoning only added to my disbelief. Hannah's attempt to downplay the situation, suggesting she succumbed to Daniel's advances for what she believed was best for him, left me stunned. Her lack of remorse was the final straw, pushing me to end the call, enveloped in a mix of disbelief and anger. The aftermath left me in a state of despair. As I tended to my youngest child's needs, the reality of the situation began to weigh heavily on me. The routine tasks of the day felt empty, as I grappled with the emotional turmoil of betrayal by 3 people I once trusted. Keeping a brave face for my children was challenging, especially as they inquired about their father's absence, to which I had no truthful answer. As the day turned into night and Daniel's absence grew more alarming, my worry intensified. My attempts to reach both Daniel and Hannah were fruitless, adding to the growing sense of isolation and concern. Exhausted and overwhelmed by the day's events, I hoped sleep would bring some escape from the harsh reality. However, the hope that it was all just a nightmare quickly faded as I awoke to a sense of unease, signaling that the ordeal was far from over. As I surveyed the room that morning, the absence of Daniel's items struck me with a sinking feeling. A frantic search through the house confirmed my fears. All his belongings, except for the most insignificant, were missing. It was as if he had vanished into the night without a word, choosing to escape rather than face our problems. Amidst the shock, my immediate thought was the well-being of our children. They were my priority. After attending to the morning routines and ensuring my children were cared for, I found myself at my mom's doorstep, the weight of my situation heavy on my shoulders. My mother, ever perceptive, sensed my distress immediately. Lost in my thoughts, I grappled with the reality of single parenthood and the daunting future ahead. The time came to break the silence and share the tumultuous events with my mother. I recounted discovering the affair, Daniel's silent departure, and the heart-wrenching realization that my sister Hannah was involved. My mother's shock mirrored my own as I detailed how I uncovered the betrayal, a step I would never normally take, but felt compelled to under the circumstances. Revealing Hannah's role in this betrayal was as surreal as it was painful. Her indifferent response when confronted, claiming what she believed was best for Daniel, was a bitter pill to swallow. My mother's reaction, a mix of disbelief and sorrow, offered little solace as we faced the reality of the situation. Confiding in my mother about Daniel and Hannah's affair, I braced myself for the challenges of raising 3 children alone. The support from my family would be crucial, but the path ahead seemed fraught with uncertainty and heartache. Facing the need to secure employment amidst this turmoil, my mom urged me to rest while she digested the bombshell I'd just dropped. Her support was a lifeline, offering a semblance of peace in the chaos. Numb from the ordeal, I managed to catch some sleep as my mom watched over my youngest. My slumber was cut short by the sound of crying and my mom's raised voice. Rushing to see what was amiss, I found her, just ending a heated phone call, likely having given Hannah a piece of her mind for her actions. In the days that followed, my mom moved in to lend a hand, simplifying logistics and providing much-needed emotional support. Hannah's attempts to reach out were met with a firm request from my mom to block her, validating my feelings of betrayal at a time when I felt profoundly alone. The blow of discovering from friends that Daniel and Hannah had hastily married just after he left us added a sharp sting to my already wounded heart. It was a hard pill to swallow, necessitating awkward, painful explanations to concerned friends who, in turn, offered their comfort and unanimously chose to cut ties with Daniel and Hannah. My mom's reaction to their marriage revealed a side of her rarely seen. Known for her gentle demeanor, her fury at the news spoke volumes of her love and protective instinct for us. Her willingness to provide financial support and help me find job opportunities was a testament to her unwavering support, helping us navigate this difficult transition. Facing inquiries from the kids about Daniel challenged my composure, yet we persevered, bonded by resilience and love. A week into our new reality, a letter from Daniel arrived. I hesitated, suspecting an apology I wasn't ready to entertain. The weight of everything we'd been through lay heavy on my shoulders as I contemplated the next steps for me and my children, fortified by my mother's unwavering presence. Refusing to read Daniel's letter was my stance of closure. A week was far too generous for any attempts at reconciliation, especially after he chose to leave us in silence. A move that screamed cowardice louder than words. So, in a moment of defiance, I destroyed the letter. Yet, curiosity gnawed at me afterward. There were moments I caught myself wondering about its contents, but I quickly reminded myself that no words of his could undo the damage done. The day after, to inject some joy back into our lives, my mom and I took the kids to the fair. It was a much-needed escape from the somberness that had clouded our days. Surrounded by laughter and the bustle of life, I found myself genuinely smiling for the first time in ages. That night, as my mom and I unwound with a bottle of wine, I brought up the letter. "I received something in the mail last night," I began hesitantly. "Oh, what was it?" my mom inquired, curiosity piqued. "A letter from Daniel," I admitted. "And what did it say?" she asked, leaning in. "I have no idea," I confessed. "You didn't open it?" She was surprised. "No, I couldn't bear any of his excuses, so I burned it instead," I explained, feeling a mix of defiance and slight regret. My mom paused. "Amy, what if it was something important, like official divorce papers?" I shrugged off the concern. The envelope didn't look official at all. I'm sure it wasn't anything like that. "All right, if you're sure. But what do you think he might have said in it?" She probed gently. "I don't know. Perhaps a half-hearted apology, or maybe he wanted his stuff back," I speculated, trying to dismiss the lingering what-ifs. The conversation drifted away from the letter, as we focused on the brighter aspects of our night. Yet the what could have been hovered silently in our midst, an uninvited guest among the remnants of our past. Dealing with everything has been a roller coaster, but having a moment of joy at the fair gave me a glimpse of hope. The toughest part is when the kids question me about their dad's whereabouts. Finding the right words is always a challenge. Though things are improving bit by bit, it's a slow process. My mom's unwavering support has been my rock. During our conversation, she revealed her intentions to disown Hannah, ensuring that her support and inheritance would solely benefit me and my children. Her decision, born from Hannah's indefensible actions, highlighted the depth of her disappointment. Despite my initial shock, understanding her perspective wasn't hard. The thought of severing ties with one's child was unimaginable to me, emphasizing my gratitude for my mom's support even more. Just as we were adjusting to our new normal, an unexpected visit caught me off guard. With my mom at work and no visitors anticipated, the sight of two men in black suits at my door was startling. Their introduction as lawyers piqued my curiosity and anxiety alike, wondering what they were here to deliver. Receiving a check for a staggering $520,000 left me speechless, convinced there had been a significant error. However, the lawyers were adamant there was no mistake and encouraged me to read the accompanying note. The message began with a heartfelt, "Thank you for saving me," piquing my curiosity and confusion. It became clear as I read on that this unexpected fortune came from Alexis, my mother-in-law. Alexis's letter unveiled, a tale of unexpected visitation, and thwarted entry due to changed locks, and subsequent revelations. She had sensed something amiss in Daniel's behavior, which led to a confession of his actions. Her letter conveyed disappointment in her son and compassion towards me and her grandchildren. She disclosed her decision to redirect her entire inheritance to us, as a token of her gratitude and to rectify the wrongs inflicted by her son. The lawyers then shared the heart-wrenching news of Alexis's terminal illness and her passing just a day before. Her last wishes were clear. She wanted me and her grandchildren to be well cared for with the inheritance. Learning of her death and her final act of kindness brought tears to my eyes. Alexis had always been a beacon of integrity and support. Despite Daniel's fear of her, I always found solace in her presence. Her final gesture underscored her commitment to doing what was right, ensuring her support lived on even after her passing. Alexis's legacy was not just in her assets, but in the love and protection she extended to us, marking the end of a profound chapter in our lives. When Daniel called, I anticipated the direction of our conversation, yet chose to entertain it out of a morbid curiosity. "What did you do?" he demanded. His vagueness prompted me to press for clarity, leading to his frustrated inquiry about my absence on a specific day. A day, he claimed, he had written about in a letter, instructing me to maintain a facade of normalcy for his mother's visit. "Oh, was that what the letter was about?" I replied, revealing I had burned it unread. Daniel's outrage was palpable. He accused me of sabotaging his potential inheritance, branding me selfish. His accusation, given his actions, abandoning his family for personal gain, was ironic. I retorted, highlighting his abandonment and pointing out that his mother's decision was a testament to her understanding of what was truly right for her grandchildren and me. I ended the call with a firm directive for him to never contact us again. Progressing swiftly from there, I initiated divorce proceedings and secured full custody of our children. Daniel's attempts to challenge Alexis's inheritance decision were futile. Her will explicitly favored me. Despite Daniel and Hannah's efforts to manipulate me into relinquishing the inheritance, I remained resolute in my refusal. The financial security provided by Alexis's generosity transformed our lives. I allocated a significant portion for my children's future education and made prudent investments. This windfall allowed my mom to retire comfortably, and I embarked on a new career path. My children have gradually come to terms with their father's absence, and I'm prepared to share the full story with them when they're mature enough. Though the ordeal left scars, the support from my loved ones and the newfound financial stability have been crucial in navigating the aftermath. As we rebuild, I'm convinced that the only direction we can move is forward, with hope and resilience guiding us.